Dirk, it's so great to have you here. Changelisciously me. I just scrolled through my pictures and we've met 10.5 years ago at HPI, Design Thinking, a very long time ago. And ever since, you've been my prototype, my personal prototype for being a change maker. Sometimes you even appear with the photo. I don't know if you knew that, but back in the days when I was still at university and teaching students, they knew, okay, Dirk is the prototype for the change maker. So before we start into what is your change making abilities, please just introduce yourself. What are you doing today? What have you been doing the last 10 years? Who are you?
Yeah. Well, Hedi, thank you for talking to me and thinking about me. As you said, we know each other for many years. And yes, I consider myself a change maker. My name is Dirk Weimann, and I'm with the Volkswagen Group for many years in different leading positions and strategic positions, as well as operative sales and marketing and after sales. So I have working for the dinosaur of the German industrial company with 600,000 employees, and you might not connect change to a big company like that. But I do that, and since in every position I live to my principles, I live to my beliefs and my visions, and I'm trying to make change. And I can say I have done some big changes within the company. And I think this is, Hedi, what we're talking about today. No?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I want to start with some anecdote I remember, and please just add onto your change history. But what I always told my students is this one story. We've had two managers who had two leading positions, let's say. You were basically the same. I don't know if you remember your colleague, but you were both in this course, in the design thinking course, and you both wanted to create a team space so your team could be creative, work more collaboratively together, and create change within the company. And the one colleague, and this is without judgment, was waiting for 2 years for some stamp so that she could, she could have her space, and it never happened that way. What you did was quite a radical approach. You said, okay, nothing's going to happen. I'm going to make it happen. And you just tore out all of your furnitures. I think to the extent that people thought you were fired. You went to the craftsman shop with your team, and I think on your own bill, just, bought all the stuff that you needed. You at the end had, I believe, this kind of a tiny, this is just all I remember 10 years ago, this tiny desk so you could work with a laptop. That's all you had in that space. And you dedicated this room to your team, had a little rule template on the door saying, okay, if you use this, please clean up and use it accordingly. And it was kind of a big thing at Volkswagen. And a lot of things that happened because you were so brave, you were this pioneer, happened afterwards. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, you basically already told the whole story, but maybe I just give one more or two more details to it. Yeah, it's absolutely right. If you wait for change, sometimes you have to wait a long time. And so the key thing is to start, and not to start tomorrow or in 2 days, but start now. And this is something which I realized, and I said I would just do it. And as you just said, what I did basically is I threw out my furniture. And the funny story about this was that as a manager, in these big companies, you have all the hierarchy, which is horrible. But anyway, so my furniture were not allowed to use because everyone could see that this furniture is only for higher management. So I put them next to the elevator so everyone could see. And so I would try to be provocative. And this is very important. Maybe we talk later about this, but this is a very, very important thing.
Let's talk now. Yeah.
Yeah, to be provocative, because otherwise people don't pay attention and start thinking themselves what is going on there. So I put them there, and then, as you said, I told my team how we want to work and if they like to do it, and then so basically you have always these 20% thinking this guy is an idiot or he's crazy. The 80% I could convince and really get them going, and so we all went to IKEA, and of course you have to invest yourself because you cannot wait for that. Anyway, so we did this and we created this space. And I think with space, it's crucial because you cannot live in clothes, which is of the past, or you don't feel comfortable. You cannot be creative. So you need to, you have to feel comfortable, and you have to have, of course, the right tools to be creative. And that's what I did. And also I throw out all my papers, and I started already 10 years ago. I got everyone a laptop and working from home. And so before even Corona came, these things were very crucial for me. And this was, so I got the team also be part of the change.
They created, just to make clear, they created their own space with your supervision, or how did this creation or co-creation take?
Well, this room was then being used, it could be used by everyone
In the company.
Everyone in my department, but also by the adjacent departments they were also allowed to use this. And then I just went to the offices of my people and worked there because you do not need an own room to work on the PC and make your emails. So that was quite revolutionary back then.
Did somebody copy it? No.
Really. The interesting thing is that some people walked by and said, they are talking about you. Can I look at this? So people on my level, management. And then in the end, I said, after they told me, oh, this is great, or this is a great idea. And then they'd say, are you doing it as well? And so I asked them at the end of this conversation, and then they said, yeah, let me think about it. And then eventually they did not really do it.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
Because it was not imposed from above, from the company. Because what I did basically 2-3 years later, and I think everyone who listening to this, what I'm right now, say, well, this is standard today. Maybe it is in some companies standards today, but I was 2-3 years before, or 4 years before, the companies eventually were investing money in these kind of creation and spaces and innovation labs, or whatever they call it, many names for it. And today, for people who are younger, in a younger generation, they might not even believe what I'm just saying, but this was really the beginning of that. And it shows how important it is. And unfortunately, it still needs sometimes the approved by the board. And yeah, actually what happened with my room after 2 years, then or eventually I was able to get the standard furniture with a HBI Potsdam HPI label on it, so eventually I had all the furniture. And because the board member for sales and marketing said that you can have it, just here's the money. But it was quite difficult to buy it because there was no process of buying these furnitures in the company with 600,000 people. And you will not believe it took a couple of months. And eventually the only way was that the most expensive and well-known furniture store in Hanover was the only supplier allowed to supply the furniture. It was really rather strange, but that shows you how the processes are in big companies. And so today I'm feeling quite comfortable when I see that eventually we have spaces for more people. But I now, a couple of years later, 2-3 jobs later, I'm still living in this spirit. And I think this is important because it has to be something that comes from inside of yourself. I think it's a crucial thing. And it has nothing to do with the job you're doing, because of course there are different aspects to every job, and you can maybe do something more intensive in one job than the other. But in the end, it's always your mind. And this is where it all starts.
Right. I'm getting goosebumps. Yes. Can you tell us a bit more about the spirit and the mind? What do you think that is, the change maker's mind? If you would explain it to an audience of people who are very new to that.
Well, you mentioned earlier that we got to know each other during the years at the Hasse-Plattner Institute in Potsdam, where I took classes, and then later on got the opportunity to engage with students and give lectures on what I was able, to change and to do differently than others. And eventually, it is this conviction that if you want to change something, it always starts with something in that you have to challenge the establishment and whatever is there, and then there are always more arguments or more reasons to let it as it is because it is so difficult. I think that I think I've always challenged the normal
status quo. Where do you think this comes from? Why that is? Have you always been that way?
I was being raised in a certain way, and I was always challenged the status quo. And I got into big fights with my teachers. I can remember of how one should be taught, and I was not satisfied with the German school system. So was
who is?
Yeah. Because I told everyone this is like Prussia in the 19th century, you know.
Yeah.
And it works for making people working in the military and in a civil servant, but it's not to make independent, creative and personalities. So I left Germany with 18 and came back then with 26 or 27.
Where did you go again?
I studied in the United States and in Italy, and also worked in Belgium. So before coming back, and then with 26, I had a strong mind that I want to do something differently. Then this is
differently. What? Like you said, you mentioned your vision. What is your vision for yourself, for the world? When you say vision, what do you mean exactly?
I wanted to do something meaningful, which takes into consideration the social aspects and the environment. For me, it is, you don't have to be like a green activist to be an environmentalist. I always thinking in cross borders and thinking that this is something what I wanted to do. And so, for example, in the first year I worked for Volkswagen passenger cars, and then I switched to commercial vehicles because I thought it was much more meaningful to make commercial vehicles, because commercial vehicles are key for the economy. And besides all the ambulances, police cars and whatever, which is for itself very crucial for the society. But then everyone is banging on trucks or vans and saying how awful they are, but they are necessary. So then let's make them environmentally in such a way that they do not have this whole CO2. That's why I was also pioneer in electromobility. So that's I need a clear vision and not going to work and make something at work because it's your work. But for me, it was always part of me, what I wanted to bring into the work. And I think this is important. I respect very much people who are saying, well, I have my private life and then I'm a bank director or whatever and go to work. But this is not possible with me. Many years ago, I told someone that I made my hobby to a job. Now I say, what? You're not a tennis star or something, Yes, but it's still something, and discussing and learning permanently.
One thing that actually was maybe even the starting point of where we are today, honestly, was your anecdote which you told us at HPI, how you recreated your family's kitchen. You had twins back in the days, I remember, and this was so mind-blowing to me. I was like, yes, inside. So the way I remember it, you were asking yourself, so where do we as a family spend most quality time at? It was clear to you back in the days, I don't know, yeah, that's the story that I remember, that it was the kitchen. So, and then you said, okay, why do we have a, I don't know, vitra design or something kitchen here where the kids cannot feel comfortable in being creative beings? And then you threw out some pretty expensive stuff so you could paint the wall with chalk, so the children were able to draw on it, and you made this like a family space. Do I remember this correctly? Yeah.
Yes, you mentioned that I'm a big design thinker, and for me, design thinking is it's more than just a tool, to solve complex problems, no matter what. But it's more than that. It starts already with raising children. And I thought that why should children be in their own rooms making their homework, or you close the doors? And I think that children needs to be there where everyone is. So basically, what I did was we reconstructed our house and made the kitchen much bigger. And 1/3 of the kitchen was then basically a playing ground for the kids, and they were 4 years or 3, 4, 5, they could choose the color of the wall in the kitchen.
What was it? What was the outcome?
It was a very light green, And so we went to a store, a Baumarkt, and then I said, you can run now and choose the color. And I was like, please, not the pink or whatever. And so then, yeah. But, because I figured, well, I'll always paint it over in half a year or whatever. So it doesn't matter. Why do I have to tell them what color they have to look at? They're old enough with 3 or 4 to express their own wishes, their own ideas.
You mentioned something very interesting. Do you think, as a manager, also as a leader, feeling supported in making the right choices, whatever the choices are, for the people and giving them the freedom and letting go of the control, is that something that is relevant? Very frame question.
Of course, this is the same.
In what way?
Everyone would say, well, of course, I can delegate and you have to, of course, have that confidence in your team. And in the end, you're responsible for the outcome. But if you're not confident what your team is doing, you will never get the team spirit, and you never get people really involved and thinking, and not thinking only about what you tell them to do, but they come with their own ideas and challenge me. So one crucial thing is always when someone new comes into my team is I say, I expect from you that you're challenging me, don't scream at me and saying I'm wrong, but just tell me that you're thinking differently and why. And then I said, just because I say it as your boss does not mean that I'm right. But nevertheless, time is changing. And this is something which is really many people forget, that we're living in a changing world. We always lived in a changing world. It was in the 19th and 20th century exactly the same. And only just because you're successful today with your business model and your thinking and your education, and then practicing it, and you always think you are successful. And especially now with the digitalization, and we basically made a big loop forward, and everything is changing. And this is so I always thinking then, when you look 100 years from now and people look back and being in school and reading about 2020, 2021, 22, I think that many students say, oh, this was a great time. It's too bad that I did not live in 2022, but we're living in 2022, 24 now, last 4 years. And we always, if you ask 10 people, 9 people say, oh, we had Corona and the economy, first you think, and then you have the immigrants issues and all those things so negatively. But in 100 years or 80 years, I believe that people look back and saying, well, this was really exciting time. The Cold War, 1990 to, in this 30 years, so much changed. And now let's be part of that change and the future.
And create it.
And be creative and fail. If you have to fail, of course. Nobody knows how it's right, but if you do not try, you will never succeed.
Building on that, on what you said already, what is your prototype of a successful change maker?
That he is taking all different perspectives and opinions, beliefs, and then create an environment in which people, not 1 or 2, but more, together work something out, and then building prototypes, test it, and not thinking in finished products, but always thinking that the process is eventually leading there. And I think this is key, and be open that. Now me being for many years in the business, I believe I can learn so much from the generation of the 25 to 35 years old, and being accept that just because you might have had a successful career does not mean that you know what is right and what is wrong.
Is that humble, being humble to what is and open to what will be? How would you make a headline in terms of personality of a change maker? The change maker personality.
Yeah, that he's. This is a difficult question. Let's see.
Well, I could describe you in my own view. Very empathetic, very humble, very very brave, extremely challenging the status quo, but without the urge to piss somebody off. To be very frank, right? But to grow, for everyone to grow. With the vision at heart, very positively thinking. You're not thinking of change as something that is crappy, but that is delicious, and very combining. So very like a big great father figure, right? Having everyone on board. It's never about you and your ego. I believe it's never about you and your hidden agenda. You're very authentic and very real. So that is also something that is, very like a snowball effect. People can believe you. So they get on board with you. It's not that you're telling them something that you're not living. So yeah, that's in a wrap up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I can. Yeah, no, it's all correct. But I think what is missing, and maybe what I'm thinking is that you are a risk taking person.
Yeah.
You have to take risks. Okay, and
why?
Because you do not know what is right and wrong, and you do not know what is behind the next corner. But if you always think, what could be behind the next corner, is it good or bad, or what does it make with you? You're not able to really concentrate on what you want to create, and so you have to accept that you could fail, but in every failure you learn so much that you have to believe, and the conviction that whatever you learn from it helps you for the next try.
Do you have an example, concrete example, where you failed miserably and then you succeeded in the end?
Yeah. When I was in the product development, and sometimes I proposed something to the board and had a presentation, and people said, very well done, but we're not making it. We're not doing it, because we don't have money, whatever, so there are always reasons. And so I came back to my team and said, well, today was not a home run, but tomorrow or in 2 months, we will have a home run, and we will continue. And so then what we did then is that we made prototypes of the people. So we looked at who is the board member for 2 or 3 board members, and then we described it, and we looked at the picture, and then we made a collage and put it on the wall. So this was our CEO, describe what he is. So and then we looked at what is his intention, and then find what is his agenda, why is he doing this, and it was really funny. The team always liked that, because we put hobbies and this, and we didn't know, but it's like, how could, would he play football or tennis or ice hockey? So we really described this person and made the personality out of it. And then next time we approached it, the whole issue a bit different, because we knew that we probably are right on what we're doing, but to get the okay is a different thing,
Did you get the okay?
Many times, but sometimes not. But you have to accept that. That's also very, very... The nice thing about not getting the acceptance is that it hurts the first time, the second time, the third time, but eventually you learn to live with that hurt, and then it does not makes you so upset, But the very nice thing is once it takes 3 times, and then you get it done, and you get, I don't know, a 10 million, 20 million investment, you feel really good. You feel like you won Wimbledon in tennis or something,
Yeah.
Like the feeling you have. I could feel that my team sometimes had this joy and this feeling, and this fun, So, and this is so important, because they feel they matter, and they can change. They can be part of it.
Interesting. Okay, so to wrap it up, is that something that we need to take very seriously, that when you're a leader and you want to create or enable change makers, that you have to create an environment where people can have fun to learn, and that they feel that they matter? What else? What else is there? That they
really believe in what they're doing, that they're not only doing it because it's their job and they have to do it, but because that really matters, And then they start thinking intrinsically, and they come and tell you, oh, on the weekend I was on the bike and we do this, but suddenly I was had this idea, so which refers to the job, And of course, so basically, what that shows me that they're really eager and be part of the solution, and
hungry,
Yeah. And this is something what the leader itself, the people cannot do, is he has to be bold. He has to take the risk, and he has to put his own person on the table. And this is hard, of course. And it takes, now that I'm so many years in the job and you have a certain standing, some people say, well, this is hierarchies and this and that. And if you have, admire so much people who are in their 30s and they say, well, then I change the job, then I quit tomorrow morning. I admire them so much, and I say, hey, this is great. You are strong. You have a strong character. I always admire these people who take this change, and then they're not thinking about, well, I have a wife and a kid and
a house and
yeah, because this is very. I believe I'm very international, and I think this is a very German thing also, which I feel
security thinking.
This always keeping on. This security thinking, exactly. This is not bad. I'm not judging this at all. I'm just saying that this is sometimes hindering in the creativity, that you always have this break, this hidden break in your
flow,
your character and your personality. And one story was at the top of my success in my old job, and I felt I was in a comfort zone, and I always told people, let's get out of the comfort zone. And I realized that I'm myself in the comfort zone. So then I said, I went to my board and guy and said, well, I want to do something completely different, So now I'm not talking about strategy. I want to be sales responsible. Yeah. He looked at me and said, what? This is a totally different job, And then he said, well, I will give you the chance. And in 3 months, you take over the most important, the biggest markets in Europe, responsible.
Yeah.
So I walked to my team and they looked at me and they say, what the hell are you doing here? You're the creative guy. You're the guy who tells us and I said, well, let's
spice it up.
Yeah. And this is what is very important, is that you can become dangerous if the environment in which you are living, meaning not only the job, but it could be everything, is taking control over yourself. And you become part of that. And if you realize that, you have to get out of it. You have to get a step back and saying, well, you do it differently. Another example was when Corona came on and everyone was saying how the world goes down. I realized, I say, no, Corona will not take over. It doesn't matter what happened and what are the chances Corona gives you. And then I realized that as a child, I always wanted to play piano. And I said, when I'm now more home, I'm learning piano. And I found a Russian pianist. And she was willing even to teach me at 7:00 at night, for my working schedule. And I told my boss, I'm playing now every week. I have 2 hours of piano lessons, and you cannot call. I will do that, because I'm a great fan of Ludovico Einaudi for many years. This is an Italian pianist, and I want to play these 2 songs. I don't want to play 20 songs.
Ooh, but this is challenging. This is
Nuove Bianchi and Divinare. These are 2 songs, and now today I'm playing these songs. I'm still playing at least 3-4 times a week, only for 20 minutes, and this is something which gives me a lot of, and so in the job is exactly the same, So you cannot cannot make a border there. So and this is I think this is key for change and creativity, that you always challenge the status quo. And the status quo is not only in the job, it's also in yourself. It's your private life, and you have to ask yourself, are you really happy? So this is I think very, very important.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your wisdom and for sharing it with your big schedule with 5 kids, piano lessons, and I don't know what else. Dirk, thank you. It's been a big pleasure and I believe very inspiring. Thank you for being part of this. Very grateful. That's a wrap on another Changeliscious episode where transformation never tasted so good. If your soul's feeling fed, don't forget to follow, leave a love note, aka review, and share the goodness with somebody really ready to flip the script. For more juicy insights and sweet inspiration, follow me, Hedi Schaefer, and let's keep stirring up change that sticks. Until next time, stay real, stay bold, and keep it changelicious.